Hello, welcome back to Madrona's Pulse Teachings. I am Iris. I am not home. This is not my normal aesthetic. I am away for the day and recording this in a hotel, and just wanted to get the weekly Astro update out to you. I hope you're doing well. This is a week of adjusting, readjusting, attuning, reattuning, recalibration. I am talking about November 10th through November 16th. We are still in Scorpio season. This is also a week that is pulling us into what is going to be an extremely powerful new moon on November 20th. I will have a different video about that. But we are coming into this week fresh into Mercury Retrograde, one of our readjustments. Uranus having just gone back into Taurus. Another readjustment. We start this week out and we're building into a conjunction between Mars and Mercury. Of course, that Mercury is retrograde. And we also are coming into Jupiter stationing retrograde at 25 degrees of Cancer this week. So more retrograde energy coming, adjusting to retrograde energy. This means that we are here to step aside when we recognize our mind, our ego, our conditioned self is trying to plow ahead. None of the astrology of the rest of the year is about us plowing ahead from that kind of hungry, fear-driven ego place that all of us fall into at some point, right? Retrogrades are about a reintegration. We are coming into this. We're adjusting to the energy of Uranus back in Taurus. So you may find that your mood is shifting, your energy is shifting. It could be up, it could be down, it could be quite yin. You really want to follow where your body and mood and also just life are leading you. If you're trying to go this way and you're hitting roadblock after roadblock, what would happen if you just went and rested? Or what would happen if you just went and did something else? Is there something else that is kind of popping up? You know, when you say, oh, I can't do that, I'm supposed to be doing this. And sometimes it's just because we've created the idea that we're supposed to be doing that. This is the energy of no supposed to, of recognizing that, like, if you're really longing for something that is especially kind of more relaxing or just not what you had planned, and that I'm supposed to perform in such a way is coming up, that is a signal to step aside. Okay, so let's go through this a little bit I'm just gonna weave the important dates here. So November 11th is when we have Jupiter station retrograde at 25 degrees of Cancer. This is happening in an exact trine with Saturn retrograde at 25 degrees of Pisces. Do you have anything? If you happen to have anything at 25 degrees of Scorpio, then you have a grand water trine going on in your chart, and that 25 degree point of Scorpio is very heightened. But for all of us, we are working with Jupiter stationing retrograde. This is a call into nurture in a big splash nurture kind of way. Especially as Jupiter is stationing retrograde. So that's the opening of this week and then the few days after it. So we're pretty much talking about this week. The fact that this is happening as Mercury has just stationed retrograde, you might find that you're a little moody. You might find that you're a little mentally confused, emotionally confused, just changing your mind of what you kind of thought you would want. This is really not energy to have a defined sense of self. I heard that phrase coming, like, wanted it to be like a defined plan, but it is literally a defined sense of self. This, like, Jupiter is trining Saturn, okay? So this is about having to fully surrender to the watery ways of being. And, you know, it's not really easier if we have a lot of water in our chart because our water is being interrupted and we're having perhaps bigger waves than we're even used to, versus if we just don't have a lot of water in our chart and then it's kind of new energy. But there's a rhythm change. And that Jupiter is in Cancer. It's going to be retrograde until March 11th at 15 degrees of Cancer. It will station direct. So this Jupiter, who wants to be abundance of wisdom, self-understanding, wants to be in Cancer an abundance of self-love. And this is a year to really learn, like, what is self-love, even when it's not just an action, or it's not just being in recovery. Like, okay, I give myself that day of self-love in order to recover because I've been pushing myself too hard. And then we're slingshotting between, you know, like extremes, which is really usually burnout. This is about self-love coming as a practice every day so that we're not burning out, so that ultimately we are living our life in a rhythm, in a way that is nurturing us, and that's creating an abundance of love and nurture and care in our own lives, and also how we are giving care, being in others' lives. Okay, so but this week we have got the shifting of the energy. So when in doubt, self-care, slowing down, feeling the feels. Okay, and again, that's happening with Saturn, who is retrograde, who is helping us to purge whatever needs to be purged in our Pisces realms, whatever house you have that in. So it is potentially big waves coming up, because you didn't get enough of them when this was activated with the water trine, which is coming back. Okay, and that's part of why this Mercury retrograde is so powerful. I have a video on Mercury retrograde. I have a video on Uranus back in Taurus. These are huge, huge transits, energy archetypes for us to work with, especially if you are on a healing, reclaiming path. Both the Uranus back in Taurus and the Mercury retrograde are huge. I will link those below. Have a listen, because 2025 has gifts to give us, gifts to give you. That said, you have to be open to receiving. And both of these transits are working with that. Okay. Speaking of Mercury retrograde, this week, we enter the week right coming out of the retrograde that happened on the 9th at 6 degrees of Sag. That is moving into an exact conjunction with Mars. The conjunction is going to be it's going to be at 5 degrees just before the 6th degree, 5:57, and it's going to be exact on November 12th. Okay, but we are feeling that energy to start out the week. That's happening while Jupiter is preparing to station retrograde, as we're still adjusting to Uranus back in Taurus. The Mars and the Mercury conjunction, you know, this is a Mercury who's saying that we need to reinterpret where we kind of thought we were ready to move ahead. It's saying that there is gold to be found in the depths of our psyche, especially once we hit that new moon on the 20th and for the rest of November. But at this first stage where Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius, coming to conjunct Mars in their cycle, that Mars wants to move ahead. We may actually get some really nice insights about our path, about what we're opening and expanding to, what we're not ready to open and expand into, what we might have thought we were ready. We might get some intuition around where this Mercury retrograde is taking us. It is, you know, lovely to light a candle, because this is fire energy, and journal with that candle and see where the stream of consciousness pulls you. Mercury retrograde, like, journal, you really want to be open to a stream of consciousness. You really want to just see where it's taking you. Sit and meditate with that candle flame a little bit, and then see what comes out. Feel a shift in your body when you're ready to start writing, but light your candle and just kind of sit with it for a while, because you want to really work into that fire magic that is so potent right here with this Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars. Okay, and also energy could wane a little bit. You also might get some insights. So that's energy that we're working with starting this week, moving through this week. And then as we move out of that conjunction, we are coming into the sun, approaching its kind of taking up that spot in the exact water trine with Saturn and Jupiter. That is actually going to happen exact next week. It'll be on the 17th. But from midweek this week through the end of the week, as the sun starts approaching 22, 23 degrees of Scorpio, it starts coming into its trine with Saturn and Jupiter. Okay. And that is beautiful, but it's also being in the waves. And so with the sun there is vitality to be found by literally lying back and letting Goddess Source, just letting yourself float in the waters of Goddess, okay? There is vitality to be found by letting go of control, especially from the mind. Scorpio makes meaning and understanding from its intuition, from merging with the present moment, from merging with the emotions of another, from merging with its own depths. And from, midweek this week through to the new moon, we are in very deep Scorpio water, okay? We're in, because that's where the sun is now, and it's talking to Jupiter and Saturn. And so some of the themes of the end of October into the beginning of November are maybe going to come up here, but now in a different way. And then that Mercury retrograde is going to go back after the new moon on the 20th. So we'll be talking about this next week and really helping us to gain some insights about the journeys that we're on, about the healing and the reclaiming journeys that we're on. And so you really just want to flow where you can flow. Flowing might mean flowing into the couch and resting. Flowing, it might mean having to really sidestep, because there's a big energy shift this week, and you just want to go with it. It's I said this like opening up, but it's not energy to force our way through. It is time to surrender and come into a yin place. And as we do that, that's where the gifts and the gold and the magic are. Okay, that's what we're co-creating with. But we have to let ourselves get there. And in a society that conditions us so strongly that you're not supposed to rest, you're always supposed to be planning, you're always supposed to be perfecting something. Call BS. You can call it BS. You can call it the impacts of colonialism, imperialism, patriarchy that gets internalized by people and then spurted out in social media as spiritual lessons. You can call it whatever you want, but it's not the energy of the archetypes and what they're suggesting you need. Okay, and embodied evolutionary astrology is about a practice in living in a way that is an earth-based spirituality, working with all the elements and listening and intuiting and co-creating. And there is incredible, we are entering, this Mercury retrograde is incredible for healing and reckoning and revelations, and they're going to come from our depths, and you are ready. So here we go. Okay, that's it for today, because I'm in this room and I have to go to an appointment. So I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.